And get started here. Thank you guys for coming tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day and missing the Olympics for one night and stuff to come and attend our Sustainable Broomfield meeting. We've got a great lineup of speakers. We have like 4 different people with different organizations through Broomfield here to tell us about different food programs that are going on and how we're like avoiding food waste and trying to keep things from going to the landfill and being more sustainable with our food systems. So first up, I'd like to introduce Stephen Meinhardt. Menyhart. Okay. With the BVSD Food Service Project, yeah. And I would just let him tell us all about that, and we'll have questions at the end, so if you have any, feel free to like raise your hand in the middle if we're going through stuff and you want to ask anything. So, Stephen, go ahead and take it away.
Nice, thanks for having me. I do want to say I do have to leave right at 7, so if you have follow-up questions or email, you can email me. The organizers have my contacts, so that's the best way to reach me. August is a very busy month for us, and it was made busier today because now, like every meeting I had today was about masks, whether we are wearing masks and whether children are wearing masks and whether vaccinated people are wearing masks or unvaccinated people are wearing masks, whether teachers are going to be required to be vaccinated. Because Denver Public Schools just announced on my way here that every city employee in Denver, including all the schools, have to be vaccinated by September 30.
Sorry. We can pause for 1 second.
I grew up by a Grange Hall in Tecumseh, Michigan. I'm from southeastern Michigan, and I literally grew up next to a Grange Hall, so it's fun to be back here. Anyway, so I'm the food service director for BVSD Food Services. Obviously, this recent public health challenge has thrown us all for a loop again. Psychologically, we're all having a hard time with it because we just survived 18 months of pandemic, feeding kids in school, out of school, wherever they were. We ran a emergency food distribution program, we called it. I don't know if any of you ever came and checked it out or got food through the program. But we were able to offer through the USDA reimbursable meals program. We gave out 2.2 million meal equivalents at 7 locations over the last 18 months. So that was a huge operation in addition to feeding kids in the school whenever they were in school, right? So we also saw the numbers dramatically go up for the food distribution when kids were out of school, and then they go down again, and we just kind of had to be along for the ride. So, and what we've done during the pandemic is filled the hole that many traditional like food banks or food insecurity agencies would, like Community Food Share, the Nettle and Food Pantry up in Ned, Harvest of Hope in Boulder and EFA. So we kind of like went into their territory a little bit, not in a bad way, in a cooperative way, because we normally feed children in schools, that's our main gig, but then because USDA reimbursement and flexibility, we can feed everybody outside of school as well. So that was a big win. Wow, it's a really long train.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, like we were just settling back in what we thought was going to be like a normal school year. So we're all having kind of a hard time today specifically to like figure out what's school going to look like. Like we're excited about bringing back salad bars, which gives the kids lots of choices, and bulk milk, which is where they can go get their own milk from a milk machine instead of drinking out of a carton, and things like that. And it all ties into sustainability and waste too, because like we hate using 10,000 cartons a day of little milk cartons, but during COVID we've had no choice. It's the only safe way to do it, and we can't have everyone touching the same milk. So it's been really hard, and I wouldn't say it's been our best year for sustainability. In fact, the restaurant industry, food service, hotels, schools, all of us have used more single-serve items this year than we ever wanted to use in our lifetime, because that's been the safe thing to do. So it has not been a great year for low food waste and low usable stuff. So
I was just wondering, can you recycle the milk cartons that they use?
You can, but you have to rinse them out or have the kids rinse them out, and you have to put them in a special place. So do some get recycled? Yeah. Do others? No.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a little...
Yeah.
Technically you can. Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, it's been quite a year, and now we are about to launch the next school year. Kids come back August 18th is their first day back. We also are a year-round operation, so we feed during the summer as well. So all the summer school sites, which were bigger this year because a lot of kids lost ground academically, so we had larger summer school than ever. So we've kind of been like go, go, go. And now it's just been, today's been a day because interestingly, the state of Colorado on Friday announced that masks are recommended but not required for children and staff in schools. So what's happened since then is that districts around the state. That's a pretty bird. You know what that is?
Blue heron.
Blue heron.
Yeah.
I don't see many of those around here. We have a lot of those in Michigan where I'm from. Anyway, so then what happened is all the school districts announced different policies, vastly different policies since Friday. So like Adams 12 said students don't need to wear masks, but all the staff do, regardless of vaccination status. Aurora Public Schools said students don't have to, and only unvaccinated adults do. And Douglas and Littleton were like, forget it, we're not going to tell anybody anything to do. Like, it's just been so all over the place. So now BVSD, my district, has to now decide what are we going to do. And we're not going to announce till August 10th, which is a week before school starts. So we have to be informed by that. We have to be informed by our local public health authorities, which we're beholden to two, Broomfield County and Boulder County. So we have to connect with all of them and say, should we have salad bars? What do you think? How should we do this? And then we have to take that information and trickle it down to our decision-making process, which ultimately we have to make a lot of hard decisions. Like I talked to Boulder County Public Health today, and they said, yeah, we're not going to really tell you what to do. All bets are off. We have no restrictions. So now we have to go, okay, well, what do we think is best for kids? What do we think is best for adults? And schools are just such complex, like, environments, right? We've got hundreds of children unvaccinated at the elementary schools. My son's going into 5th grade at Creekside Elementary. So there's 500 kids almost in a school and a bunch of teachers, some of whom are vaccinated, some of whom are not. It's just like, it's really kind of a wild thing. So that's where we are as of today. It's difficult. But we look forward to feeding your children once they get back to school. What I've been joking with my friends is, because I survived the pandemic too, I have 2 kids at home, online learning, the whole thing, and I've been joking with my friends, I'm like, we hope to welcome your children back to school in a couple of weeks.
Right.
They're all like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Because everyone does not want to go back to what first happened, which is you're trying to work from home if you have that opportunity to. You got kids at home trying to do online learning, district's trying to hustle you some Chromebooks, you're trying to fix your internet so you can do your job while your kids are doing their job. It's, no one wants to go back there. So it's like that. So.
A couple of years ago, there was publicity about the fund where that it accumulated where nobody was paying.
Yes,
And
negative
how
balances.
big is that now? And some people actually donated as a charitable donation to knock that fund down. So
Yes.
Where's that at?
So so we call that negative balances.
Yeah.
So a lot of families in this district had negative balances to the tune of about $150,000 a year of negative balances that are accumulated. So what that means is we have, I guess I'll go backwards. So we have 3 tiers. There's technically 3 tiers of students based on self-reported income information. So you could either be a free status, you receive free meals all the time, all meals. Reduced price lunch, which is, there's a sort of a middle tier of income levels. But the state of Colorado actually covers that fee. So in most states of the union, it's 40 cents for lunch and 30 cents for breakfast. But the state of Colorado is like, why would we make a family in need pay 40 cents? Like, it's just, you're collecting, minimal amounts of money, and there's a little stigma attached as well. So the state is like, we'll just cover that. So in the state of Colorado, there's really only 2 statuses, free or full pay, as we call it. Meaning you pay full price for lunch, breakfast, and breakfast. So that price is not insignificant. It's $3.50 at elementary schools for lunch, $3.75 at middle schools, and $4 for high schools. I still challenge people to go find a meal on the street for $4. That's as good as what we can provide. But that is the price. It's not low. It's the highest in the metro area. But so what happens is if you get a family that, let's say, is on free lunch because of their income, they qualify. But maybe they forget to redo the application, or something slips through the cracks. You can imagine, right? You get 100 emails from the school district and you miss one, so you don't do the free and reduced application in time. So then your child starts to rack up lunch debt. And then you're like, oh, because then we do a robocall every week to say you owe $10 or more to your lunch. We try to collect those funds. But in many cases, it's not the first bill a family's going to pay, right? You're going to pay the gas bill, the water bill, put gas in your car, and buy food for your family before you pay the BVSD school lunch program. So we understand that, and so sometimes family might accumulate $500 worth of debt, like inadvertently, because they have 5 kids in the district. So we as a district every year forgive that debt. We don't widely publicize that because we don't want families to just be like, oh, they're just going to forgive it, so we'll just keep racking up debt. But the district generously covers that because we understand that families have different changing circumstances, and even more during the pandemic. I actually advocated with the district to just wipe out all debt from pre-pandemic, because what are we going to do? Go collect $25 from a family because their kid bought lunch a year and a half ago before the pandemic? Like, no, it just seems petty. So that's my personal stance on it.
So donations brought that down?
Yeah, so there was a fundraising campaign. There was a well-known personality in Boulder who, can't recall her name, but she sort of started a fundraising thing, and that certainly helped because they raised $40,000 or $50,000 through donations, and that helped because then we were able to knock off. What we did is we allocated that money to knock off the highest debt for the most needy families, like that we knew needed the relief, and it was stressing them out to get a call every week saying they owed $800. Like, we were like, okay, let's take care of those. And then the district later made the decision, which is not for granted. Every year they have to approve it through multiple channels to forgive remaining debt for families. So that's how that works. So.
Can you talk about how, I know Boulder Valley partners with a lot of local farms, and can you just talk about that?
Oh, that's more
program?
fun stuff. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, we have a huge network of local farmers. We have 11 farmers we buy from every year. What we do is we have a farmer meeting in the winter, and we say, what do you think you're going to grow? What do you have? What might you have? And then we try and pay them fair market price, which is what we would pay our large purveyor, which is called What Chefs Want. It's a large produce house out of Denver, where we can get everything from them. But if the farmer has a competitive price and they say, yeah, you can buy our carrots for the same price as you would buy them from these guys, then we go to the local person, right? I just came back from a big road trip with my son. We went down to Olathe, Colorado. There's a huge company called Tuxedo Corn Company down there in Olathe, if you've ever been down there. They hand pick 1 million ear of corn a day out of their 84 plots down there in Olathe. And it's the best sweet corn in the world. And I didn't believe that until I went down there and I met the farmer's name's John. He's this 81-year-old diminutive man who's been running Tuxedo for 60 plus years. And I said, John, well, first time I talked to him on the phone, I said, John, is your sweet corn really the best sweet corn in the world? Because I had never met the guy and I just got introduced to him. He's like, long pause. Well, that's a stupid question. And so I knew I had to go down there. So I took a trip with my son. We drove down there. I actually was out there on the first day of picking, which was July 17 this year. And they have 160 farm workers they bring up from Guanajuato, Mexico every year on a visa, 3 to 6 months visa, to hand pick every ear of corn. And the reason they do that is because the machine harvesters, they crush some of the kernels. They never quite get all the kernels perfect. So when you hand pick the corn, all those kernels are perfect and pop in your mouth with all the sugars and all the stuff. I also learned that the reason the corn is so sweet is because it's up to 90, 95 degrees during the day, and it goes down to 60 at night. It's kind of a weird microclimate, and that develops the sugars in the corn, much like spring spinaches do, because they go through cold and hot cycle. So that develops and cultivates the sugars. So they're going to be a new purveyor this year. We're going to serve their corn once a week, I hope. If we can get
we'll
it.
be visiting the cafeteria.
Yeah, I
know.
So we're trying to do that. And then our basic philosophy is we try to get the best possible products from Colorado when possible and not mess them up, like not overcook them or undercook them, or, get them nice, prepare them correctly, which is a challenge because we have 55 schools. So we're trying to do a consistent process at 55 places with poorly trained staff or no staff. So that's hard, but we try. Palisade Peaches. So we also went through Palisade on our road trip. We're buying Palisade Peaches, pears, and apples from Rogers Mesa Fruit Company, which is in Hotchkiss. And they're a collector, so they work with a bunch of local little orchards around Hotchkiss. They collect and aggregate the fruit, size it, and grade it, and then they ship it out. So we have actually a contract with them to buy $400,000 worth of fruit probably this fall. First peaches, then pears, then apples, and that'll take us all the way through late October, early November. And then we sometimes overwinter some of the apples, so we're still serving local apples into December, January in a climate-controlled space. So as much as we can.
What percentage of the food do you estimate is wasted by the kids?
So
Has it gotten better over the years?
that's a good question. It's hard because we have to go on the data from the previous year or the previous time we served something. So we have a 6-week menu cycle, which is, again, more than most districts. A lot of districts have a 2-week or a 3-week cycle, meaning that the foods repeat more often. Like they'll do nachos every week or burgers every week or something like that. So we have a 6-week cycle. It's more expanded. So do we have waste? Yes. Do we try to avoid and minimize? Yes. But the funny thing is, like, if you ever have run out of food, if you ever worked in the food service industry and you run out of food, that's like the worst feeling ever. Imagine this. I was working at Meinhart a couple years ago, and hot dogs are like a big thing, right? So hot dogs, all beef, nitrate, hormone-free hot dogs, nice hot dogs, baked beans. We make our own baked beans, make all the sauce. You know, we put a lot into this food. And of course, the day I was working there, I was subbing for the normal kitchen person, and I ran out of hot dogs on the last kid. I swear to you, the last kid. We didn't have a hot dog. And the other choice, we always have a vegetarian option, is the secondary option for all levels, a second choice. And I was like, well, we have tofu bibimbap. And the kid literally just breaks down in tears. The counselor comes and talks to him.
Oh, no.
Like, these things actually happen. So, like, we do really, really not want to run out of food, because that's like another type of disaster. So we do tell our people to over-order by like 5%, like as a rough guess, because you don't know how many kids are going to come on any given day. And now the USDA has actually extended, if any of you have been following this, we were able to provide free meals for all students the entire pandemic period. Nobody was paying for any meal. They have now extended that for the entire next school year. So this whole year, all kids are eating for free the entire school year. So the negative balance thing you mentioned, not going to be an issue. Nobody's paying for anything. So, and you know, if you have kids in the district, like, that's money. That's real money you're saving. So.
Quick question: how do you figure out the portions for kids?
That's really complicated. So the USDA sets a lot of limits on portion sizes, and they're divided into three categories: K through 5, 6 through 8, and 9 through 12. So there's these three boxes that they put us in. And it is totally ridiculous, I will agree, to serve a 5th grader that weighs 117 pounds the same portion as a kindergartner that it weighs like 33 pounds and is just showing up at school on the first day. So unfortunately, we have to live in this strict calorie range. So it's for K through 5, it's 550 to 650 calories per lunch for the complete meal. So that includes the milk, the fruit, vegetable, grain, protein. It's not a lot. But so, like, when we get audited, we have to literally provide detailed analyses of our entire menus to show that we're in a 550 to 650 range as an average over the course of a week. Sodium as well. So sodium levels are kept at the same, like, very low range. We have a very low tolerance for sodium, which means some people say our food is bland. It's not flavorful. But if we exceed the sodium and we just put a bunch of salt in everything, not only is that not a good lifelong habit to eat a bunch of heavy salty food, but like we are literally just limited on how much salt we can put in it. So, but portion sizes are tough because of that calorie range. So then you get up to middle school, and you got some big middle schoolers. You got middle schoolers as big as I am, and it's only like 650 to 750 calories. And so what we do provide and can provide is unlimited salad bar when we can offer the salad bar. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks we'll be having salad bars again. And then we say unlimited there. And it includes proteins like chicken, cottage cheese, vegetarian proteins like beans, more fruit. So we'll have watermelon and cantaloupe and peaches and everything out there. And then they can go back as much as they want for that. So that's unlimited. We don't need to include that in our calculations. And milk as well. The bulk milk, we have a nice bulk cold milk as much as they want. So that's where we can kind of play with it a little. But it still is unfortunate because kids have to pay for seconds. So it's that inequity, the economic inequity, because then you got a kid who wants seconds and they can come pay for it, or it's on their account. If a student's on a free meal program, they don't have money in their account, we can't actually like offer them seconds on the entree. So there's a little bit of an inequity piece going on there too that we don't love. So yeah. Do you have a child that complains about the small portion?
No, mine was a kindergartner, and she's a picky eater, so you know she eats very little.
My son, I said there's free lunch, and I said I would eat everything, and he's picky. He only eat like peanuts whenever he eats like grilled cheese.
Example. Like let's say a hamburger, right? Because we do a nice hamburger. It's a fresh, never frozen hamburger from Legacy Meats and Grill. It's a nice product, but we can't like get into like this here. We'll give you a half a hamburger. We'll give you a quarter hamburger. Like the portion is the portion, and it's in that strict calorie range. So it's like we can't like break it down necessarily.
She likes your burgers, so.
Okay, she can probably handle the burger, but maybe, you know. But yes, you see where I'm going. There's a limited range. We got to live within that. So. Yep.
What happened to Ann Cooper?
So Ann
She
Cooper
retired.
she did officially retire on January 1st of this year. She was one of my like mentors and people I kind of grew up with here in the district. I've been here for 7 years. Prior to that, I was in Chicago for 8 years in the school nutrition arena. I was originally worked as like a line cook in restaurants, fancy restaurants, and then I got into school food in Chicago. I moved to Providence, Rhode Island. I worked as the director in Watertown, Mass for a year. And then Chef Ann called me and said, hey, I finally got a job for you, because I stayed in touch with her over the years. I actually visited her in Berkeley, California 15 years ago when she was out there turning things around. She's a force to be reckoned with if you've ever met her. She's enjoying her retirement, and now she only has one job, which is running the Chef Ann Foundation, which is she still runs a philanthropic organization that helps support and sustain quality school food around the country and around the world. They do grants and mini grants for other districts. So she still is, she's not unbusy, but now she only has one job. So yes, I took over for Ann. I just took the permanent director job last week. So,
Yeah.
thanks.
Nice.
So, I was in the middle school, teaching in the middle school when Ann Cooper came in.
Yeah.
And there was a huge backlash from kids, wanting to bring their own lunch or not to buy because they didn't want it to change. And the theory was, as kids moved through the years, they would get used to it.
Yeah, like the new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
Yes and no. I mean, do I still get hate mail from parents saying bring back chocolate milk? Yes. But like milk, let me just take milk as like a microcosm of that, right? So one of the first things Ann did on the job was say no more chocolate milk, no more strawberry milk. Because she was vehemently opposed to like added sugars and added calories. Like, why would you take milk, which is good and sweet, and then put more sweet and more added sugars? This is way before sugars was a huge conversation. Or you had to put, now you have to put on the label added sugars, the nutrition label. So this is 12 years ago. And so she got, talk about hate mail, she got, everything short of death threats that this is a free country, we're going to drink chocolate milk if we want to drink chocolate milk. And so, I still go to battle with dietitians from the dairy industry. I'm a registered dietitian as well. And I fight them at these conferences because they're like, well, it's better if they drink chocolate milk than no milk. I'm like, well, yeah, but who taught them how to drink chocolate milk? And like, when was that introduced as the normal thing, right? Like, and I'm not opposed to having kids drink chocolate milk in their house, but if we're providing them as the public food service provider, we're giving them chocolate milk with breakfast, lunch, and after school snack. You're talking about 20 to 30 grams of added sugar on top of the normal milk. That just it's blows my mind that I don't know. So you see where I stand on that issue. Or you go talk to a dentist. Go talk to your local dentist. Hey, what do you think about chocolate milk? What do you think about soda? All right, don't even get me started. But yes, I do think that what I've learned from Ann is there will be decisions that are unpopular that are still the right decision. That's definitely something I took away from Ann. And sometimes if you feel strongly on the nutrition point, this is best for our children, you got to stay the course. And I want to try and stay with that. With input from others, with input from doctors and dentists and people that know stuff.
I worked in the kitchen 2008 to 2010. I did school to school, and they used to serve Izzy drink and all that crap. And she came in, man. She cleaned out the vending machine. She got rid of all that sugar on the, and I'm, brought in salad bars. I cut carrots for her.
Yeah. Okay, so
cool.
You know what we're talking about. Yeah. And were all those things popular with everybody at that time?
No.
Right. No, I doubt it. So,
All right, so in order to get you out of here, you got 2 minutes left before 7. So any other...
Well, does anyone here have children in BVSD about to start the new school year with us? Yeah, a couple. Okay, well, we're trying. I'll tell you the same thing I tell my friends. We hope to welcome your children.
Yeah, it's so good to meet you.
Yeah.
The face behind
and
the
I'm
food.
glad we're hearing about the funding lunches again. So
Yes, and that's huge.
that's
Please
awesome.
spread the word on that, because
Yeah.
I'm telling people I know, and they're like, what, free lunches again? So we need to do a better job getting that word out.
Yeah.
But it is free for the entire school year through June 30th of next year. So
We'll post
that's
it
a
on
great
Broomfield Moms, and we'll
Yeah,
get the word
could you
out
put
for
something
sure.
out about
Yeah.
that? And Mary Rochelle, my colleague, does our marketing and communication. So if you want more of a canned message, I think she was on those emails too.
Okay.
Hit her up and she'll give you a kind of the blurb. We want to make sure families know that they won't carry that additional burden, which in some cases, it's $100 to $200 a month. I have 2 kids. It's like a couple $100 a month that you would be paying.
Absolutely.
So just having to not think about that bill is just really nice.
I have a friend that's got 4 kids in Boulder Valley. It's perfect. Yeah.
You want them to eat healthy school lunch, but that's $400 a month.
Yeah.
So it's nice that we can, for another year, take away that burden. And we're fighting for universal free meals forever. That's the next battle.
Nice.
Is that covered statewide or just in
That's
certain
nationally.
districts?
That was the entire nation. The USDA decided on late March of this year, all of next year was going to be covered. I'm part of a group like of lobbyists and dietitians and doctors and people, and we're fighting for universal free meals forever, because we think that to take away the stigma of not being able to afford lunch because you're just outside of that income range and your child doesn't get free lunch, but you actually don't have the money to buy their lunch. Because think about this, the income limit for free lunch during a normal school year, your family of 4, imagine living in Boulder County, family of 4, you have to make $48,000 or less household income, total household income, to qualify for free lunch. How can you even afford to live in this county, in this state at this time, on $48,000 for a family of 4? I don't know. That's really hard. So if you make $55,000, you don't qualify for free lunch, and that to me is just wrong. So we think that healthy food should be a universal right, all children. Nobody should have to stress about that. So that's the bigger picture. So, and it might happen. It might really happen.
Definitely.
Very few good things have come out of the pandemic, but this could be one of them, as people have realized the depth of the food insecurity, economic inequality in our county, right here in Boulder County. I don't know if we're in Boulder County.
Broomfield County,
sorry.
but that's okay.
Wherever we are.
But Boulder Valley schools, so
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you could live your whole life in the city of Broomfield and think that nobody's poor and doesn't have food on the table, but oh my gosh, we just learned that a number of families in Broomfield don't have food on the table. So, it's been a very educational year for us. So,
Awesome.
cool, I gotta run to my own
Thank
family,
you so much,
Steven, we really appreciate it.
Any follow-up questions, they have my
Yep,
contact
we'll send an email out with your thing.
Thank you.
Thanks
Bye,
again.
Steven.
Bye-bye. All right, so then next up, I think we're going to have Mike Lutz from Broomfield Fish, and he can talk about what they are doing to help our community, especially with, helping people get food and stuff. So go take it away, Mike.
It's good to hear about the kids getting free lunches in the schools again. That's definitely going to impact what we do. I'm with Broomfield Fish. It stands for Fellowship in Serving Humanity. It's a nonprofit family resource center. We've been around for just about 60 years in Broomfield. It was started by 6 ladies in the basement of one of their houses with the goal of helping neighbors and friends out. I think a lot of them would be pretty happy with where we're at now. I believe there's only 1 or 2 of our founders that are still alive. Yeah, 2. And so, like I said, we're a family resource center. Big thing that we've done for a long time is we give out food. So we're a food bank. We give out a lot of food. We've also become, as a family resource center, we help with rent and utilities for families. We help with transportation costs, sometimes prescription costs, things like that. So we became a family resource center a couple years ago, and that's kind of taken us to a different level with the services that we provide our families. We recently moved into our new building. That was 4 years ago now, and that actually gave us the opportunity to have a marketplace where families can come in and actually shop. It's like a little grocery store now, which I think is amazing. I've been with Fish for 12 years, and there used to be a form families would fill out, and they would choose the items that they would want, and we would fill bags for them. And when we moved into our new building, we were able to open up this marketplace, and families can come in and shop and get the items that they actually want, that they're actually going to use, that they can use to prepare meals. So that's been amazing. The pandemic, not so much, because our marketplace got closed down, and we ended up having to do things where we prepared boxes and gave those out to people with boxes. Thankfully, we've got back to having an open marketplace. So we're starting to get back to a little bit of normal. Since I've been there, the amount of food that we've been able to distribute has gone up dramatically. I think when I started, we were probably giving out about 25,000 pounds of food a month to families. Most of the time we didn't have milk, we didn't have toilet paper, I remember we didn't have cereal, eggs. Those were things we just didn't have pretty much most of the time. Now we are at over 100,000 pounds of food a month that we're distributing. And we've got almost everything that you could ask for if you were going to go shopping. So we've got a great supply of milk. Danone White Wave is a fabulous partner in the community. They donate milk to Community Food Share, and we get to tap into that resource. So we get brand new, fresh Horizon organic milk, 2% and whole milk, that we are able to offer to our families. Right now, we're offering our families, they can get up to 8 gallons every time they come and shop, which is amazing, because if you've been to the store and you look at the prices of milk, it's not cheap. The Horizon organic milk is even more expensive, so just having that resource is amazing. And for me, when I was growing up, cereal was a big thing because my parents both worked, so it was easy for me to just make cereal on my own. So I've always been fighting at Fish to make sure we have cereal on the shelves because we have this wonderful milk. And I know that there's a lot of families out there where parents are working, and I figure kids can just tap into that resource. So yeah, go ahead.
2 questions.
Uh-huh.
How is Fish funded, and how do people qualify to be able to come to Fish?
So Fish is funded, a lot of our funding is by donations. We have been getting more into the grant cycles with a lot of organizations, so we've started to get a lot of grant funding. We also have a wonderful partnership with the City and County of Broomfield. They have been very generous with us. We also partner with them, and we do a lot of services for the City and County of Broomfield. So it's a really great partnership, but we have a lot of funding from a lot of different sources, which has been great. And I already forgot to say.
And the other one was, how do people qualify to be able to come in and shop at Fish?
We serve Broomfield residents. So if somebody comes in outside of Broomfield, we will make sure that they get food. But we will also direct them to where they can go to get the services that they need. If they're looking for financial services, we are going to require that they are a Broomfield resident. We will qualify people for assistance at 200% of what the federal poverty guideline is. So just to make it simple, if it was a family of 4 and this federal poverty guideline was $50,000 a year, we would qualify them at $100,000. That they can come in and get services. And like the gentleman before me was saying, in Boulder, Broomfield counties, the prices of everything has gone up, cost of living has gone up. So, a lot of our families, people might not think are low income, but the cost of living here is pretty high. So we have a lot of working families that are coming in to get our services because rent, they're paying 70% of their income is going to rent, and we all know how much food costs. If you've got a family of 4, you're probably spending well over $1,000 a month in food costs, and they can come in and get food for free. Maybe not everything they need, but pretty close. And if we can take that worry off of their plate every month, of where they're going to get food, I think that can make a big difference to a lot of our families. Yeah.
Can you talk about where the food comes from? You mentioned partnerships with certain companies, and then...
Sure. So a lot of our food comes from grocery stores. So we have a box truck that's refrigerated that we go out and we pick up from grocery stores every day, 6 days a week. So we pick up from King Soopers, local King Soopers. We pick up from Safeway here, a Safeway in Superior, the Whole Foods down here on 120th, and the Sprouts on 120th. So we get a lot of food from our grocery stores, a lot of bakery, meat, produce, dairy from our grocery stores, non-perishable items, things that they're not selling, whatever. We also have bins at the grocery stores that people can donate to, King Soopers. And so that's one source of food.
And do you guys shop at the store, or is that donated by each store?
That's donated that we pick up every day. I also shop from some of our local grocery stores. I will purchase food. We have a purchase food budget where I can purchase food. So I will purchase from some of the grocery stores. I will purchase from Costco. I will purchase from some wholesalers across the nation, which I had to do during the pandemic. I was buying food from Florida, from New Jersey, from Michigan, trying to find places that actually had food, trying to find places that would actually have a truck that they could ship to us. So it was a game during the pandemic. But yeah, so we purchase food as well. We also get food from Community Food Share, which we're a partner agency of. And they have a wonderful selection that we get from them every week. And then we also accept donations. And donations can be any non-perishable item. We'll take perishable items if they're in their original packaging. It's growing season here, so we've got a lot of local gardeners that we will get food from. The Grange has brought us some of the vegetables that they grow over the years, and that's been great. So we have a lot of different sources of food.
And is there anything that you need? Is there anything that you're like, we could use more of, that we could donate?
Cereals.
Specific items, or cereal sounds like anything.
Anything and everything is welcomed.
Okay.
I never thought I would have the day. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Fish before, but there was a time where we never thought we would run out of green beans, canned green beans. I mean, we had them everywhere. I could actually use green beans.
Oh, I didn't know.
It is. We went through those during the pandemic, and they weren't coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through our whole inventory of green beans. But that's one of the things.
Okay.
Fresh produce is always great. Cereal is great. I would ask if you ever want to come in, take a tour, see what we have. We have what we call Adopt-A-Shelf program, which was started. Me and a great community member, Jan Kardatsky, she helped start this Adopt-A-Shelf program that we have, where people, families, organizations, groups can adopt a shelf, and it can be whatever. It may be cereal or oatmeal, and then every month they just do what they can to help keep that shelf full. So, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I think we have over 115 adopters right now of shelves, which is amazing, to help keep a lot of our shelves full.
Where is the store located?
So we are at 6 Garden Center.
Okay.
So over off of Midway. Do you know where the big Wells Fargo Bank is?
Yeah.
We're right behind that.
Okay.
It used to be Health and Human Services for the City and County of Broomfield, and then for those of you that have been in Broomfield for a long time, it used to be City Hall, the police station. Basically everything except the library was there at one point. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's still a city building. We have a fantastic lease from them. I think we pay 20% of the utilities a month, and we paid for the renovations. It's pretty amazing. So again, thank you to the City and County of Broomfield.
The green tent going to go up again, you think? Or no?
I really hope not. It was a tremendous amount of work every day when we were doing distribution outside, and we had this big giant green tent up. Looked like a circus tent basically, and people could drive through that in the wintertime. So thankfully we never closed during the pandemic. I mean, when we turned and we couldn't be inside anymore, we turned within a day basically and started serving outside. And it was pretty amazing, but it was a lot of work to take everything out there, set it up, distribute the food, then at the end of the day take everything down, bring it back inside, put it away, just to start and do it the next day. So I'm really hoping we don't have to go back to that, because I love the fact that our families get to come in and shop and pick their own products. I think there's a lot of dignity involved with that. It's like going to a grocery store. I had this opportunity a couple of weeks ago, and it still sticks with me. There was a single dad that came in with his little boy and little girl, and they came in and started shopping, and they were excited because on one of the first shelves we had some candy down there, so the kids of course were excited about the candy. They were going around our aisles and helping pick things out, and they got over to our produce selection, and the little girl and little boy were like, "Dad, what do you want?" "Tomatoes." And they're like, "Is this one good?" And they're feeling it, and they're like, "All right," and they're filling up the bags, and they're just interacting as a family and picking out all this stuff and produce, and it was awesome to see. And I don't want to see that go away, because I feel like it's just a wonderful experience for our families to be able to just, the kids don't know that it's not a grocery store. To them, they're shopping. They don't even, I don't even think they understand that mom and dad didn't pay. I don't think it even gets brought up. had some families, some kids say, "This is the friendliest grocery store ever." And we want to hear that. That's we have a fantastic community. I mean, we have a community that takes care of us at Fish. They do things for other organizations, and it's amazing how we help each other out in this community. And growing up here, I never realized how wonderful of a community we have. And being at Fish for the last 12 years, I've got to see that firsthand, and it is amazing. I love our community. So, thank you all for what you do and helping the community. So,
do you guys have any rules now with the masks mandates or anything?
So we did just start asking people to wear masks indoors again. I know CDC recommended that you wear them. We at Fish, and I think the city are requiring it in public buildings that you wear a mask for right now. So we'll see how that goes. And then our thing right now, and I've been talking with Brianna about this, is our waste has been recently. It's been hard to control the amount of food that we've had to throw out. We've got a pig farmer that we give a lot of food to, anywhere from we had a week where it was about 10,000 pounds of food that we gave to our pig farmer. So thankfully they're able to take as much as they can. We also have a chicken farmer that we provide bread to one day a week, and also some produce every now and then for our chicken farmer. We've been starting to try and do the composting. The amount that we have is a little hard for some people to handle the amount of volume that we have, so we're trying to work around that. We just talked with Western Disposal, and they're going to drop off a 2-yard bin that we can do composting in to try and reduce our waste. Right before the pandemic started, we had Western come in and talk to us about recycling. We were a little disappointed that we were putting too much in our recycle bins, that they couldn't recycle at the over-counter recycle, so they educated us on what we can put in there and what we can't. So we're trying our best to minimize the amount of waste we have. We've started to see an uptick in families coming back in and shopping, so that's going to reduce our waste. But our grocery stores have been just donating a lot of product to us. It's been really hard for us to get all of that out before it starts turning. So,
do you know how they determine what they're going to donate to you? Is it just like stuff that's...
They basically go on what they can't sell. So They have strict policies. Even though on the date, on the packaging, like on bread, it can stay longer than that date, they can't sell it in the store. That's their policy, not to have it past that date. So we get all of that bread.
Got it.
Meat, they have a strict policy on how they do that. So we get, and thankfully they've been really good about making sure they get meat that they can't sell in a freezer quick and getting it to us before it turns. I applaud the grocery stores for how much meat they're able to donate to us. That may start going down because meat has gone up like everything else, and people are really trying their best to buy the reduced meat that they put in there. But the grocery stores are still doing a pretty good job of making sure we're getting some donations. So it's hard. I mean, the grocery stores, it was brought up, you never want, the poor kid that didn't get the hot dog. I think grocery stores are the same way. They never want to run out of a product, because if they run out of something, they're going to lose business. So they always do more than what they think they're going to sell. And they've been doing a lot more of that lately, so we've been seeing a lot of extra food coming in. So I think that kind of covers most of what we do at Fish. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I'm open it up for questions.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the shopping experience, and I was wondering where you guys stand with your bag policy, since that's all about to change if you do plastic bags, or if you encourage your families to bring their own bags.
So we do have some plastic bags that we use for, like, we put together some kids' snack bags that we use plastic bags for. We also have diapers that we break down and put in plastic bags. As far as our shoppers coming through, we do have some plastic produce bags and things like that. We're trying to see what kind of options there might be for some of the other bag options that are out there that are not too expensive. But we have a lot of boxes that come in, so when the families come in, they can pick boxes out that they can put their groceries in.
Costco style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. It's
Gotcha.
Costco style. So, yeah, and then we also have a lot of reusable bags. Precious Child, which is another nonprofit organization, they bring us some canvas bags and reusable bags every week, and we put those out for families to use if they want.
Can we donate those kind of bags maybe to
By all
you guys?
means, yes.
Okay, yeah,
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, we would take those.
Because we have some just exploding in our laundry room of reusable bags.
Yes,
So,
they will go
cool.
super fast.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do those need to be washed first before they're brought in?
That would be great.
Don't grab them out of your car.
That would be great. We get all. I can't even begin to tell you the spectrum of bags that I've seen come through, and by and large, most of them will get used unless they are so absolutely disgusting that we have to. I mean, I had a bag that came in that actually had cockroaches in it. I was worried that they got into the building, but thankfully they didn't. And so there we go. Yeah. And I didn't know we had cockroaches in there.
I didn't either.
No, they were small. But, any other questions? Did I talk enough?
Yeah, you're great. That was perfect.
I just started babbling.
That was great. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mike.
you.
We really appreciate it. I have Lauren here in the corner who works for Danone, and if you would introduce your colleague here, that would be wonderful.
So this is Sarah. She works on our zero waste to landfill team, and she's going to talk about how we try and divert food and other things, packaging, raw materials, all that kind of stuff from the landfill in our manufacturing plants. We've got 15 in the U.S. and Canada.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. Come on up. It's a perfect transition since sounds like Danone donates to fish often for the milk there.
Partnership is going, but yeah, like Lauren said, I work for Danone just down the street in the corporate office in the environmental health and safety team. And on that team, I co-lead our zero waste to landfill program. So this program covers our main manufacturing facilities. So I think Lauren said we have 15 facilities in the U.S., but we just work with the bigger ones, so that's 13. And I guess, maybe to back up, I don't know if you guys know everything that Danone makes, but we make the Horizon Organic, like you said. We make Silk soy milk, almond milk, Danone yogurt, Oikos brand yogurt, International Delight coffee creamer, and So Delicious ice cream, the non-dairy ice cream, and a bunch of stuff, mostly dairy and dairy alternative products. And so as you can imagine, we have a lot of waste in all of those factories. There's all sorts of stuff from the finished product waste that we can't sell because of quality issues or because it's near code, so at risk of expiring, or if it's damaged in the packaging. There's a lot of regulations you have to follow with food for when you have to waste the product, as well as, when we're making it, if a batch goes bad before it's in a product, then that large scale milk or yogurt has to be disposed of, as well as a lot of food byproducts like whey when you're making yogurt, or okara, which is a really big one. It's the fibrous part of soybeans that you're left with when you make soy milk, which, interestingly enough, in some countries is actually turned into food for human consumption. Not in the U.S., it's not allowed yet. But that's another big waste stream, as well as like sludge from wastewater operations, and just a very wide range of waste that we have, as well as the obvious like packaging, cardboard, plastic, all of that stuff. So the Zero Waste to Landfill program covers all of that waste, and we developed it basically from the ground up. There is no other region in Danone that has Zero Waste to Landfill program, so we built out the whole thing. We came up with our definitions for what is waste, for what does zero waste to landfill mean. Surprisingly, every company, you hear them have zero waste to landfill claims, but they're all different. Some companies, it's less than 5% goes to landfill, some is less than 1, some is 0, and some have rules for what that means, like you can't just send it all to an incinerator, that's not any better, and things like that. So our definition is less than 1%, means the facility is zero waste to landfill, less than 1% to the landfill. So we came up with all of that, and then we did workshops at all the factories. So we went to all the factories, identified all of their waste, listed out everything that was going to everywhere, and they called out landfill items, went through their containers, their compactors, all the different trash bins, and it was interesting. Some factories just had, one container going to landfill, which was just general trash. Some factories were sending all of their finished good waste to landfill, which, if you can think about it, at some of these big factories, it's a truck a day of food waste that gets sent to be destroyed, which is very large-scale operations. But we listed all that out, and now each factory has a plan of how to get to zero waste to landfill. So they have projects and goal dates for when each factory will be zero waste. So these projects are things like working with the vendor to change the type of packaging that the raw sugar comes in, so that packaging can be recycled after we use it, or switching the supplier, or taking a material to a new location. So instead of sending that finished good waste to landfill, sending it to like a farm to become animal feed. So there's all sorts of different projects, and we're working towards each factory kind of independently on their own journey to reach zero waste to landfill. We have 2 factories that are already zero waste, which is very exciting. The first one was working on it. We started the program in 2019, but the first one was working on it well before that, and they're already going there, and they're able to make the transition just by sending the general waste to go to waste to energy rather than landfill. And then the second facility reached it because they were one of the ones sending all of their finished product waste to landfill, which was one of our first things we went after because it's such a heavy weight and obviously very impactful, and they transitioned that finished good waste to go to animal feed instead. And then they were able to reach zero waste to landfill. So most of our finished good waste goes to animal feed right now, which is awesome. Some of it does go to be composted on farms, but the vast majority is animal feed, trying to work up the hierarchy, because most of the stuff that's wasted at the factories cannot be used for any sort of human consumption due to the quality concerns and all the regulations. So the stuff that can still be consumed by humans is usually given to factory employees to take, so they can take. They usually just pull out like a whole truck and just however much they can take. Really, I think sometimes there's rules if there's less, but a lot of it flies off the shelf, especially that Horizon Organic that is, I don't know, $6 for half a gallon at the grocery store. That is always gone right away, but so everything that can be eaten is usually given to the employees, and the rest of it goes to animal feed or compost depending on the situation. But we also, another big factor is we did this whole program partnering with a total waste management vendor, so they control all of our waste at all of our factories, so they really are one point of contact for switching vendors, pickup times, all of that kind of stuff. And we work through them, and they help us find these local farmers next to where these factories are, because they're all across the United States and one in Canada. So there's different farmers we work with at nearby each factory most of the time. So they do some of that legwork finding those farmers for us, and then we partner with them to send them the product that they can use for animal feed or land application or whatever it may be. But we're really working to get all of our factories to zero waste. We're hoping to have a few more by the end of the year, fingers crossed. But yeah, I guess what questions do you guys have for me? That's kind of a summary of our program.
Does it extend to like the packaging that you send out to consumers and making sure that that's more recyclable or something like that?
Yeah, that's not a direct part of this program because it's focused on the factories, but we do have a whole other team that's working to make sure that end-of-life recyclability. And we are doing a fairly big project right now. Most of our yogurt is in polystyrene cups, which is recyclable at some, depending on where you live, it's recyclable, but we're transitioning it all to PET, which is more widely recyclable in general. So that is a big effort too. There's a whole, my zero waste landfill program is kind of just like underneath a whole arch of people who work just with the grocery stores about managing their inventory and making sure they waste less, and with the warehouses to see how they load the trucks and making sure they send the at-risk product to the grocery stores first to make sure there's less waste there. And there's people that work upstream with the farmers who are providing us with the milk to make the yogurt, to make sure that, you know, we get it and it meets our quality standards and it's suitable for our products, so then we don't have to end up wasting any of our ingredients either. So there's a lot, for the company as big as Danone, there's a lot of different aspects of food waste and zero waste to landfill. There's just so much that goes on at all the different levels of the company.
Are there factories in Colorado?
No, we have a corporate office in Broomfield, just real close by, and we have an R&I facility in Louisville, so they make like pilot scale, like test products and develop new flavors and all that kind of stuff, but there's no factories.
Did White Wave, did it used to be White Wave, and did you guys purchase them, acquire them? So they're just now part of the...
Yeah, so I started back in the White Wave days,
Okay.
But Danone purchased White Wave. So White Wave was the Horizon Organic, Silk, so delicious brands, and then Danone is like the Danone yogurt, Oikos, and they bought out White Wave, so now it's all under the Danone umbrella.
And that's French?
Yes, they're based in Paris. They make all sorts of stuff in there too. That's why it's Danone and not Danone, because you see on the yogurt, everyone always asks me like, "Oh, Danone," and I'm like, "Yes, same thing." That's why it's Danone, because it's a French company.
Is this the national headquarters or the international headquarters?
It's just for North America. So North America has two headquarters, kind of weird, one here and one in New York, but it only covers North America, which is just the U.S. and one Canadian factory.
I don't know if this is probably just more of a comment. It was when Danone bought out White Wave, I know there was a lot of questions about the community involvement that they would have, but it seems like they've even stepped up more and focused on community, giving back to communities and doing the zero waste. So I mean, it's awesome to see a company that big invest so much in the community itself and people in these communities. So.
Yeah, definitely, especially with the kind of recent, it was after the acquisition when Danone became a B Corp. I think that really helped to drive a lot more of the community engagement, and like the Zero Waste to Landfill program did contribute, you know, points to becoming a B Corp, and all of these other activities helped us reach that B Corp status. So I think that was a big driver too. You know, because White Wave did have a lot of really good programs before the acquisition, but I think that was a big driver to help continue them and grow them and make sure they had stayed with their community involvement.
Yeah, until recently, Danone was the second or the largest B Corp in the world. We're now, I think, second largest. We were dethroned. I can't remember by who. But yeah, so we're a pretty big player in that space in terms of giving back for sustainability and also our communities.
Can you guys give us just a little summary of what a B Corp is?
Sure. So a B Corp, at its core, it's how the company defines its mission. So instead of being most companies fairly profit-based, being a B Corp is making the commitment to be focused both on profit with the shareholders, but also improving the community and the environment, having a secondary or like having a co-mission to help out. So ours is like through food and like providing that, you know, local nutrition for communities and being a good impact on the environment. So it's really just making that commitment that, you know, our mission isn't just financial, it's also, you know, being a good company and giving back.
Did I hear you say that it's the second largest or the largest B Corp in the world?
It was the largest for a long time. I think, like Lauren said, we just got dethroned.
I can't remember who's still our title. There's another company that's now largest.
I have a question. I know that some companies are working towards what they're calling extended producer responsibility. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
right?
the the name for it.
Basically doing a program where so if it's like the carton of milk, like they are ensuring that at the end of the day that carton of milk like officially is recyclable, or they are paying for it to be somehow, they're accountable somehow for that waste. Is that something that you guys, any programs like that you have in place?
Yeah, I mean, Lauren, you might even know more about this because it's not quite my umbrella, but we are working to, like the transition with the types of plastic to make sure that it is recyclable, making sure there's instructions on it to be recyclable. And I don't know if you have anything else to add.
We also partner with How to Recycle on a lot of our products, and it actually has instructions, and it'll tell you if it's recyclable, if you need to rinse it out, if you leave the cap on or off, like what you do with it. So it's really clear for a consumer what they do with that and where it ends up. I don't know if you've ever toured a recycling facility, but it's insane. I've never seen people move so fast to hand pull things off the line because we're too lazy to sort it, upstream. So it's really helpful because people throw things in all the time that they think are recyclable or they want to be recyclable, and then those people just have to hand pick them out. So to give clear instructions is super, super helpful. They were working on transitioning some of our products. What was the other point I was going to make? I can't remember the third piece of that. I lost it in my
Is Danone kind of like sharing its like takeaways with other companies? Like, are you collaborating and like sharing
Yeah, that's
your
another
plan
big.
with other people?
Yes, I guess on many different levels. That's a big part of being a B Corp. There's a big network of companies that are B Corp that work together. There's boards and stuff where people can ask questions and collaborate and do it that way. As far as like, in my circle with waste, through our partners with Veolia, we talk to other companies who are maybe like, oh, how do you dispose of these cartons since they're waxy, and like those types of conversations do happen fairly often. One-off on my team, but then in the bigger thing, that I hear that all the time with B Corp, it's a big sharing opportunity. And even when we were the largest B Corp, everyone was always like, we want someone to beat us. We're trying to like encourage more companies to become a B Corp and make this commitment by sharing how we did as such a large company and how others can maybe get there too.
We're also working with suppliers to try and encourage them to become B Corp, so it's not just necessarily in our industry directly, but trying to magnify efforts as much as possible.
Yeah, we actually just had one supplier that supplies the nut butters to make like almond milk and cashew milk and all that just recently became a B Corp, and with that a little bit of excitement I think in the company, they were supplying everything in these cardboard drums of butter, which as you can imagine are very difficult to clean, so very hard to recycle. And then they're actually going to start lining them for us so that now we only have to throw in a liner instead of a big drum. And I think them becoming a B Corp was, give them a little push, a little bit of excitement I think behind the sustainability stuff, which was awesome to see.
What do you get all your like milk in? Is it in giant drums or something, or?
The milk comes actually in tanker trucks.
I was wondering about that.
And then they pump it into like a big tank.
Okay, so that's nice and zero waste right off the bat
exactly.
there.
all the big weight items.
Perfect. Well, do we have any other questions for Sarah? All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us. If you do that, thank you. And we were supposed to have another speaker tonight, but they weren't able to make it, so we're gonna probably just call it quits for the night. And thank you again, everybody, for coming. If you have any questions for our two speakers who are here, feel free to ask them before we head out. We had a bunch of people who donated some food supplies to fish, so if anybody, and you can basically do that at any time. So if you ever have extra stuff that you want to get rid of, or extra produce in your garden, even just bring it over to them. Let them know that you're coming, I think, with that stuff, because you don't want it dropped off in like the outside bin where it can get
cook
rotten or something. Yes.
So yeah, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 4:30, and Thursday 8 to 12. And if you just come through the east door, there's a sign that says donation and volunteer entrance.
Perfect. Yeah, so as long as they're open, you can drop off that stuff. And thank you to everyone who donated today. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming. Have a great rest of your week.